Good evening guys, and welcome to today's video where I'm doing a short video on the rules of indices and index laws. So we're going to go through a couple of examples of each and just practice. Now for multiplying, if I have the same base guys, what I do is I add my powers. So b to the power of 4 plus b times b to the power of 3, well 4 add 3 is going to be 7. So b to the power of 7. So the same base, I just add the powers. So b to the power of 4 times b to the power of 3 is b to the power of 4 plus 3, which is b to the power of 7. So when I multiply, I add the powers. It has to be the same base. So the bottom numbers or letters have to be the same. I can't do p to the power of 5 times q to the power of 5 and say that's pq to the power of 10 because it's two different letters. So the letters have to be the same. For part B, b to the power of 5 times b squared. So add the powers, I'm going to get b to the power of 7 again for part B. Okay, it should be a b, sorry. Number 3, b to the power of 3 times b to the power of 6 is going to be b to the power of 9 for part C. And for part D, it's going to be b to the power of 5. For part E, it's going to be 8 plus 4, which is b to the power of 12. So it's going to be b to the 12 for question E, okay? And so on and so forth. For F, it's going to be 6 plus 2 plus 8, which is going to be 16. So it's b to the 16, guys. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so feel free to have a go at some of these questions, guys. Yeah, and obviously comment below if you're not sure on any of one of them. For next one, for dividing. Now here we were adding, so the opposite is going to be subtracting. So when I divide and it's the same base, I'm going to get 10 minus 2, which is b to the power of 8. Okay, so nice and easy. 10 take away 2 is 8. So when I divide, it's just subtracting the powers. B to the power of 6 divided by b to the power of 3 is going to be b to the power of 3. Okay, part C is going to be b to the power of 5. 7 take away 2 is b to the power of 5. For question D, 6 take away 5 is b, or just b to the power of 1. For part E, it's b cubed divided by b. Imagine I've got an invisible 1 here. So 3 take away 1 is going to be 2. So it's going to be b squared for part E. So for part D, the answer is just b, or b to the power of 1. Okay. For part F, it's going to be b to the power of 6. Okay, and so on and so forth. When I have numbers and letters, guys, it is treated differently. So it's 21 divided by 7, which is 3. And then it's b to the power of 4 divided by b to the power of 3. So the answer is going to be 3b for G. 3b. So deal with the numbers separately and then deal with letters separately. Right guys, so when I'm adding, when I'm timesing the same base, I add the powers. When I divide the same base, I subtract the powers. Okay, we will come on to part 3 now. B to the power of 5 to the power of 3. Now when I have brackets, all I do is just multiply the numbers together. So when I have a bracket raised to a power, 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so all these is multiplied by the number. Okay, so that's going to be my answer. For part B, it'll be b to the power of 18. For part C, it'll be b to the power of 70. For part D, it'll be b to the power of 10. And so on and so forth. Okay, remember that when I get to the number parts, it's obviously 2 to the power of 4, b to the power of 5 to the power of 4. So 2 to the power of 4 is going to be 16. B to the power of 5 to the power of 4, it's going to be 16b to the 20. Okay. So that is my answer for that one. So feel free to have a go at these questions, guys. Next one, power of 0. Now, anything to the power of 0, guys, is always 1. So the answer for part A to E is going to be 1. Anything to the power of 0 is always 1, guys. Okay. Okay, so 8 to the power of 0. So for f, 2 times 1 is 2. For g, it's going to be 3. For h, it's going to be 5. For I, it's going to be 6. And for j, it's going to be 11. Okay, so it is anything to the power of 0, guys, is always 1. Okay, for that one there. Okay, so they are my questions, guys, for the rules of indices. So when I multiply, I add the powers. When I divide, I subtract the powers. When I have a bracket raised to a power, it is multiplying. So anything here, so when it's the power raised to a bracket, I'm going to multiply. And then number 4 is anything to the power of 0 is always 1. Okay, so that is my answer for those guys. Right, guys, and then I've got a few more that I will do. So I'm not going to do every single question. Okay, for number 1, okay, so we got negative indices. Now, when it's the power of -1, it just means the reciprocal. So 2 to the -1 just means 1 over 2 to the power of 1, which is just going to be 1 over 2. So that minus there is what we call the reciprocal. So I flip that number. Okay, I've got 2 over 1. When I flip it, I get 1 over 2. Okay, so that is how I do that actually. So when it's power of -1, it's the reciprocal. So the negative power flips the number into a fraction or a fraction into a number, depending on which way around you see it. Okay, so part B will be 1/3, part C will be 1/4, part D will be 1 over 2 squared, which is 1 over 4, part E will be 1 over 2 cubed, which is 1 over 8, part F will be 4 to the minus 1 over 4 squared, which is 1 over 16, and so on and so forth, guys. So that'll be your answer for those questions, okay? So feel free to have a go at some questions, guys, okay? So when it's power of -2, it's 1 over that number squared, okay? Or if it's a fraction, then it'll be the reciprocal squared, okay? And then lastly, guys, we've got some fractions, okay? 25 to the power of a half. Power of a half means square root. So square root of 25 is going to be 5. Okay, and so on and so forth. Power of a third means a cube root. Okay, so it is whatever the denominator is in my fraction, that is the root that I take. So anything. So when it's a to the 1 over n, it's the nth root.